kind enough to stop by after his win here in Los Angeles, or his team's win here in Los Angeles against USC, and getting set to find out who they are playing in the college football playoffs. The head coach of Notre Dame football, Marcus Freeman. Good to see you, Coach. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Rich, man. Glad to be on the show.
I'm glad to have you here. So I'm seeing what's on your shirt right there. What do we got? That play like a champion today. Okay.
Yeah, play like a champion today.
Fantastic. So you are now completely acclimated to the Notre Dame scene right now, and I'm just wondering how you are as a coach right now. Than the first minute you got that phone call to say, guess what? You're the coach of Notre Dame football, Marcus.
Yeah, there's no playbook to being the head coach of this place, or probably anywhere in the country. There's things that you have to learn through experience. And, I think I've learned many lessons and valuable lessons through these first 3 seasons. And I know I'll continue to learn more. The things you know now are way ahead of the things you knew when you first got the job. But, I think that's in any profession, man, a constant improvement, the constant learning that you get from those valuable lessons.
Well, what is the valuable lesson and the thing that you believe improved at?
I think most importantly, it's the lessons you learn probably in the lowest times, right? Is winning gives you a great feeling, but the losses teach you so many more valuable lessons. And we all know if you lose too much, you ain't gonna have a job. But the understanding that time heals everything. I've always said that here. That's something that I learned early in my career. Time heals everything, but what you got to do is you have to fix your problems with urgency. And I think I've learned that over 3 years, but even in this year, from week 1 to week 2, you go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. And it was a great lesson for me and everybody in this program that you have to respect your opponent. You have to prepare the right way and make sure mentally and physically, if you don't prepare the right way, you can lose to anybody, as we've learned the hard way. But I think the lessons that we learned after week 2 are ones that we have to continue to keep with us, and most importantly, how to handle success.
So how did you come out of the Northern Illinois game better, do you think, Coach?
Yeah, there's schematic things that you have to improve. And I think what happened probably more than anything is week 1, some of the issues that we had were masked behind a big win over Texas A&M and kind of got exploited week 2 versus Northern Illinois. And so we had to fix some schematic things. But more than anything, I said, there's a greater lesson to learn here. And that's the right way to handle success and the right way to prepare. And you could prepare physically for an opponent, but you have to prepare the right way mentally and understand that you can lose to anyone. And that's something I tell our team and myself all the time is don't ever think that you can't lose to anyone. And that's the approach that we have to have each week and, continuously get better as we've done all season.
How has Riley Leonard helped in this regard, do you think, this year?
Yeah, Coach? I think number one, he's a unbelievable talent. I think he's a really, really good football player, a great leader, a great person. But I think what Riley has learned from week 1 to week 2 is there's nobody else that emulates the head coach of Notre Dame football than the starting quarterback of Notre Dame football. And he was at the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in 2 weeks. But I think he learned to block all that out, right? Is the praise, the criticism really doesn't matter to you going out there and doing your job. And you can't fear making a mistake. And I think that's where I've seen his biggest growth. And yes, the intentional meetings with Mike Denbrock, our offensive coordinator, make sure we're always on the same page, but there's a confidence you got to have as a quarterback that can be unshakable. And I've seen him grow in that area more than anything. Is that, what's the worst thing that happened? You could throw an interception. I've heard him say all the time, like, you're the starting quarterback at Notre Dame. Embrace it, enjoy it, and let it fly.
Marcus Freeman here on the Rich Eisen Show, head coach of Notre Dame football. I know I'm about to traverse into the world of uncontrollables with a head coach of a football team. That's my wind up for this question. I know you can't control it, but you are a team that could make a case for a bye week in this college football playoff tournament. However, the circumstances of Notre Dame being an independent prevents you from doing that. Do you think your team is good enough top 4 right now to get a bye week if things were different, Coach?
Could we be ranked in the top 4? Absolutely. do we deserve a bye week? I think there's some sacrifices that you make when you're an independent football program, and that's something we knew when this college football playoff format was created, and we understand it. So we got to have the right approach to this thing and saying, okay, week 13 is our bye week. We're currently on our bye week, right? And we got to make sure we recover, really reload mentally and physically, and get ready to prepare for an opponent starting Sunday. But there's sacrifices that you got to make, and this is one of those things. But we knew going into the season, if we were fortunate enough to make the playoffs, we have to utilize week 13 as our bye week.
No, obviously a home game is great, and your environment is second to none in college football. And obviously whoever's going to come in, if it's Alabama or it could even be an in-state friend in Indiana that would be coming in, which would kind of be off the charts if that is actually a matchup. But that said, clearly a bye week would be the most preferred. Do you advocate internally for moving this program into a spot where this wouldn't be an issue, that you're not independent anymore? Do you have these conversations? Do you advocate for
No,
that?
I think our independence is one of our distinctions, and one of the things that makes this place unique is that, we sell to our players, we sell to recruits, that we play everywhere in the country. We play almost every conference in the country. We start out with the SEC, finish with the Big Ten and USC, played 2 games in New York this year, and obviously finished in LA. And so that's what makes us unique. We're fortunate where we're not held back from making the playoffs. We got a great deal in terms of our TV deal with NBC. And so it's something that we understand has some negatives to it in terms of not making the playoffs and playing for a conference championship. But more than anything, it's something that we sell as a positive.
And then Marcus Freeman here from Notre Dame, here on the Rich Eisen Show. And just I'd love to ask you about the way you go about your business and your schedule in this respect. How soon after beating USC did you turn to the signing period that you're in the middle of right now? I mean, how quickly did you have to reverse and your focus, Coach, on that?
I think this is a unique recruiting period where it's different than previous years, where right after the game of week 12, you can get on the road for about a week and a half and go see all your commits and, do in-home visits. We knew this year was different. Right after week 12, it's dead. And so we had to make sure throughout the year, and specifically as we got closer to week 12, that all of our signees were ready to go. And so it's been set up. We've got a great recruiting department that's done a great job of making sure that all the questions, the logistical things were handled. But more than anything, it was a chance to just get out there, all the commits on a Zoom, and tell them how excited we are. But recruiting is something that goes on 365, and we just had to make sure that, hey, everything was solid leading up to signing day.
Do you, as a head coach of Notre Dame with independence, and obviously who you are and your school, what it represents, do you get kids demanding money of you, Coach?
I think that's the college football landscape. When you are recruiting some of the best players in the country, and you have some of the best players in the country on your team, they're going to get NIL money, and that's no different here at Notre Dame than anywhere else in the country.
So these are, how much of your job is lead negotiator, Coach?
Yeah, I kind of try to separate that side of things from really what my job is with the players and what my role is in their lives. And we have people that have those conversations. Obviously, I'm involved, but I don't really have a lot of those direct conversations. It's almost, you can have a parallel to the NFL, is that, you have a department, you have an athletic administration that handles a lot of those logistical, financial, contract stuff. Yes, I'm involved, but I want to make sure my conversations with the players really don't involve that, unless they has to, right? If it comes to a point where I need to get involved with a conversation with a player and their family, I do.
Speaking of parallel to the NFL, your name gets mentioned every now and then, here and there, to get a call from an NFL team to see if you'd be interested in that. Do you hear this part of the conversation, Coach?
Yeah, it's been brought up in a couple of my press conferences. I think more than anything, it's a reflection of with team success comes individual success, right? I tell our players that all the time. Like, we have to be obsessed with team success. And with that will come some individual recognition. And I think that's a reflection of my situation, right? Is that we're having success as a football program. So your name's going to be brought up for different opportunities. It's not something I've really spent any time thinking about. Obviously my focus right now is to get this team prepared for the playoffs. But again, it's an honor. But more than anything, it's a reminder to me that it's because of team success that we're having opportunities like this.
Now, again, this is my first rodeo having a conversation with somebody like yourself who is very successful like yourself and has a lot of people who would like that success to come and be their coach. And in this conversation, asking you if you're interested then makes it seem like you're not interested about where you currently are and the success that you're having. But the issue is that I keep hearing and that I do talk about is that with the NIL and the portal and the lack of rules that would be, I guess, equitable to everybody and that everybody knows they have to follow, college football is still figuring that out. The NFL has that figured out, and how it's much kind of easier to just go to the NFL, despite its cauldron of problems, than what you have to deal with. Let's beat USC. Let's now go and deal with a bunch of kids that might ask for money and then they might leave, or there's a portal and there's this, there's that. How do you feel about the differences there, Coach?
I think you've hit the nail on the head. There's some evolving things going on with college athletics that some higher ups are still trying to figure out and really get some rules and regulations around it. But I'm not looking for easy, right? I think the NFL does have a great plan in place in terms of how their players are compensated, the different rules that they have in place. But the thing I love about being a college football coach is the relationship you have with young people. And I'm not saying in the NFL you don't have that type of relationship, but this is what I love to do. More than anything, more than the money, more than all the things that go along with college athletics, I love the relationship and the life-building skills that you can really help young people with that are 18 to 22 years old. And so that's what attracts me to this profession, this job, this place is more than anything the impact you can make on young people.
Marcus Freeman, couple minutes left with the Notre Dame head football coach here, and of the kids that are coming your way, or at least committed to coming your way. The one I want to ask you about how you landed him. 6'3", 390-pound receiver out of Atlanta. How did you land Jerome Bettis Jr., Marcus? How did you pull this one off, Marcus?
I tell you what, that was the hardest recruiting pitch we had to give to get a guy to commit.
Is that right?
I remember sitting in a room probably a year ago or 2 years ago with Jerome Bettis Jr. and his father, Bryce Young, and his father, Bryant Young, who was an NFL Pro Hall of Famer, and James Flanagan and his father, Jim Flanagan, who played in the NFL. And I remember saying, if we can't convince you three that this is the right place for you and your future, then we got a long way to go in terms of recruiting, because your fathers are living examples of what we're trying to sell in terms of having success to the utmost degree in your athletic careers, but also setting yourself up for life after football because of the education, because of the network here that Notre Dame offers you. And so to get all three of those guys signed, two of them were signed yesterday. Bryce was in our program this past season. To me was so important, because we got to make sure that the guys that understand this place because their fathers or somebody else may have went here, we got to make sure we get those guys in Notre Dame.
I don't know. I think maybe you're being too humble, to be straight up with you, Coach, because, I remember Michael Irvin telling me about he's once upon a time told his kids, there are three things you can't change. You can't change who your family is, you can't change your religion, and you cannot change that you are going to the University of Miami. That's what he said to me years ago. And I'm just wondering if Bettis, Jerome, JB is cut from the same cloth. I kind of feel that he is, to be honest with you.
Listen, we can look at it from an outsider's perspective, and his son is coming to Notre Dame. I don't know what those private conversations were at home, but all that matters to me is that his son is coming here.
Fantastic. So, all right, before I let you go, what is your general sense? I know you'll play whoever you're going to play. I understand that, and that you'll find that. out this weekend. But what is your sense of how this will work out? College football playoff as to who's coming to South Bend. What are the chess pieces you're looking at right here?
Yeah, I think
Coach?
You're going to really pay attention to all of the conference championship games because they're all going to have an impact. And, if there's upsets, every seeding's going to change, right? And who you play or where you're at. But if there are no upsets, it's going to be interesting to see the teams that lose where they're going to be ranked because I think the College Football Playoff Committee has been adamant about not penalizing teams for being in a conference championship game. But what does that mean for us as a team? Right now, I think we're currently the 6th seed as the last came out, right? I think we were ranked 5th, but the 6th seed, and do we become the 5th seed, depending on what happens after these championship rounds, or does something happen where I hope that doesn't happen, that we go down. And so I'm looking at this bracket you have up now. It has us playing Alabama. And again, we'll see. I thought for a second, hey, it's going to either be the Big 12 champion or, maybe Alabama. But now you can't figure it out. You can't figure out what the College Football Playoff Committee is really going to decide. And so it's going to be a fun weekend, a fun Saturday of watching college football and watching other coaches stress a little bit. I'm going to enjoy it. And then Sunday we'll find out who our opponent is.
Where are you watching? You watching home? Are you at home, surrounded by family, or you're in the office? Where are you watching?
We'll practice Saturday.
Okay.
I don't know what time I'll get out of the office. If I can go home and maybe watch a game with my kids, I will. But I know a lot of our players have talked about getting together here at our football facility and watching some of the games together. So if that's the case, then I'm pretty sure I'll be around those guys.
And it's entirely possible, as I mentioned, it could be an all Indiana first round too, right? If the Hoosiers come visit South Bend, that would be off the charts. I know, Coach, right? No? Or you
that would be good. That would be good. That would be, great for college football. But, this weather, we got to use this weather as a home field advantage, And so maybe a team that's coming from 50, 60, 70-degree weather coming to snow, then that's truly going to be a home field advantage.
Okay. I like it. I like where you're going. I like it very much. Terrific, Coach. And if you're, if the other way happens and Indiana comes in there, you could just Google them. You know that? You could just Google them to check out who they are, right?
I like how you got that in there. That's good.
Coach, I always appreciate our chats. Thanks for the time. Really appreciate the 20 minutes. Thank you.
All right, Rich. Thank you, man. It's been a blast.
Same to you. Good luck to you. That's Notre Dame head football coach. And say hi to Jerome Bettis as well. One of my favorites is if you speak to him anytime soon. Thanks for the time. That's Marcus Freeman here on The Rich Eisen Show, everybody. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern for free.